Hello, scholars. We're in our third lesson in astronomy. We've talked about astronomy, we've talked about stars, now we're on to planets. So let's get to it. What is a planet? Well, planets are astronomical objects that orbit a star. Some of them we can see in the night sky. We can see Mercury, we can see Venus, we can see Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Those we can see with the naked eye. Okay? But we are on a planet as well, and there's some that we can see with telescopes. And later on, we'll talk about those we can see with really fancy telescopes that are around other stars. So how do we come up with a definition that fits all of these objects? Well, they have to orbit a star, okay? They have to be large enough that they're rounded by gravity. So the Earth is a sphere. Venus is a sphere. Jupiter, Saturn, all spheres. But things like asteroids aren't big enough to be rounded. Okay, so those don't count because they're not large enough. But they can't be too large. If you get too much larger than Jupiter, then the gravity compresses that gas and poof, ignites it with nuclear fusion and you have a star. Okay? So there are objects that orbit a star that are big enough to be rounded, but not big enough for fusion. Cool? It's in between. Now the Greeks named the word planet. They called them wandering stars. Why? Because as we talked in class, all right, at night we are faced away from the sun, so we can look out into the rest of the universe, and we see all these stars. And those stars are in pretty much fixed positions. They move across the sky as a group through the seasons. But the planets don't. They'll wander into a constellation and then back out of a constellation over a series of weeks and months. So they'll interrupt a constellation. They don't move as a group with the constellation, which means the planet is in front of the constellation. And to the naked eye, it looks like they're moving or wandering around the sky. Cool? All right, our solar system has 8 planets. You might have learned 9 in elementary school, depending on how old your textbook is, but scientists have kind of come together and agreed Pluto is no longer a planet. We have 8 planets. The rocky ones are, over here, where are they? Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The gas giants are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. In between Jupiter and Mars is the asteroid belt. Outside Neptune is the Kuiper belt, and there's thousands of asteroids in this belt and thousands of Kuiper belt objects out here. Pluto is one of these Kuiper belt objects. Okay, but it was the first one we found. We thought it was a planet, then we found all these others. So, not really a planet. Maybe a dwarf planet. Okay? Cool. So that's our solar system. Now, what's super cool in science? So far we've been studying things that people have known for thousands or hundreds of years. This is the cool part. In the last 20 years, okay, when I was just out of college, we discovered the first planet around another star. We guessed that they would be there, but we had never seen one. That was in 1995. Since then, we found more and more and more. And with the launch of the Kepler mission, we are now up to a total of over 1,000 planets. With the last 8 they discovered last week, it puts us over 1,000 in the last 20 years. And we found some in the habitable zone. What's the habitable zone? All right. So we think life can't exist really far away from the sun. Why? It's too cold. Average temperature on these planets out here is well below the freezing point of water. If you get too close, like Mercury is, it's too hot. Water just evaporates. It's all in the gaseous phase. It's steam. So you need to have the sweet spot around a planet in the habitable zone. So now we found thousands of planets, and most of them are big gas giants, really close into their star. Okay, we've now found a few that are about the mass of Earth and about the same distance from their star, and that means there could be liquid water. Everywhere on Earth we find liquid water, we find life. So maybe, just maybe, we aren't alone in the universe. All right, make sure you've got your notes. do your reading, fill out your worksheet. We'll see you in class.